Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto was sealed because he was too powerful, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to see more comment down below. The river he had fallen into, Kiba was sitting under a tree trying to take cover from his pursuing opponents. As he cradled Akamaru's injured and unconscious body he growled to himself, if only I'd been stronger. Akamaru would have never gotten hurt if I had been. I can't beat anyone I face, not any real shinobi anyway. I lost to Naruto twice, and now this guy. What am I doing with myself? He grabbed the wound on his stomach where he stabbed himself to injure one of his enemies when they attempted a parasitic jutsu to kill him. He couldn't run any further, he knew he wouldn't have gotten much distance anyway. So you finally stopped running. Kiba saw that the connected brothers, Sakura and Akon, coming closer to him. You were pretty bothersome to try to take down. Kiba chuckled humorlessly. Well, it was a good time while it lasted, huh? The two sound ninja stalked Kiba down to finish the job when a familiar puppet came rushing onto the scene, chattering and scattering the two brothers to separate from one another and dodge. Man, is Naruto the only Konoha ninja that doesn't need backup or something? He bailed you out and now I'm getting the dog kid out of his situation. I take offense to that. Naruto may have assisted me in my battle but I was far from defeated. The two voices appeared from the trees to reveal Neji and Kankuro, who was using his puppet Karasu. Thanks for the directions, Hyuga. I might have been a little later otherwise. Sakura voiced their opinion. Who the fuck is this with you two Konoha trash? Kankuro and Neji looked at one another and Neji gestured for Kankuro to speak. I am Sabaku no Kankuro. A shinobi of Sunagakure, ally to Konoha, and here to kill you both. Their attention fell on the wounded Kiba as they heard him hiss in pain due to his injured abdomen. Go and help out that kid, I'll beat these two myself. Neji nodded and went to check on Kiba while Kiba grimaced as Neji helped him get in a decent sitting position to examine him with Byakugan. You two sure made it right in the nick of time. So did you beat that spider guy back there? Neji kept scanning the extent of Kiba's wounds. Naruto arrived and ended our fight before it could escalate any further. It's a good thing too, because I wasn't sure how I would have beaten him. He was incredibly difficult to attack. We caught up to the team afterwards, but when we got there you and Lee were gone. Kiba chuckled as he watched Kankuro single-handedly beating back the two Oto twins. Well, it could be worse, I suppose. Nobody is dead yet and I'll be fine. He looked up at Neji hopefully. Right. Neji smirked. Yes, nothing too vital was hit within your wound, it's just enough to inflict decent internal trauma. Ah. Kiba looked over to see a second puppet full of blades that used to be part of Karasu. Kiba turned green as he could surmise what had happened, and poor Neji didn't even turn around as he pretty much saw the entire thing happen in its entirety because he had been looking inside of Kiba, near 360 degrees of vision and X-ray capabilities. Yay. Kiba voiced the opinion of both boys. Okay. Nice finish I guess. Kankuro watched the blood oozing out of the bottom of his puppet Kurori, Black Ant, and turned back to them with a smirk. Thanks. This puppet combination is one of my favorites. He walked over to Kiba and looked him over. So how is he? Neji deactivated his Byakugan to get the picture of the brothers being impaled and stuffed inside of a puppet out of his orbital sockets. Kiba will be fine for now but we need to get him back to Konoha for treatment, him and Akamaru. Carrying him might pose a problem and cause heavier blood loss however. Kankuro grinned at him. No problem. He went over to Kurori and knocked on it once to open it as the two corpses rolled out onto the ground. Kiba held back a dry heave and Neji's eye twitched. Kankuro looked inside his puppet. Yeah, this should be just fine, we can put him in this and carry him that way. He won't be at risk at all. Kiba got a tick mark on his head. Like hell I'm getting in that thing. You just killed two people in it. There's still pieces of them inside. And I think they released their bowels when you killed them too because I smell shit. Kankuro sighed and moved his puppets along like a kid that was told to get up and go do his chores. Fine, I'll go wash it out in the river, alright. Kiba growled. Fuck that shit. You better have some disinfectant on you, goddamn it. As two figures flew through the woods back towards Konoha, the only sound coming from them was actually coming from the thing that one of them was carrying. Tayuya had woken up on Choji's shoulder about an hour after Naruto knocked her out and wouldn't shut the hell up. From calling them pubeless rapists to needle-dick transsexuals she just kept bitching him out. Eventually Shikamaru ripped her hat off of her head and stuffed it into her mouth as a makeshift gag to get some peace and quiet, and now he and Choji were basking in the relative silence of their momentary victory. I say relative silence because she was still mumbling nasty curses through the gag. Shikamaru was currently thinking, this mission went straight to hell faster than I could have ever assumed it could have. My formation was useless when we were discovered and we had to break off into one-on-one fights. If Naruto hadn't shown up, we could have been in some serious trouble. Those guys were way stronger than us. The thought came to a close as they heard leaves rustling nearby. Choji set Tayuya down and prepared to fight, as did Shikamaru when Temari landed on an adjacent branch. Phew, I finally caught up with you guys. I see you had a little scrape of trouble. Seeing Tayuya all tied up and cursing, she smirked. Looks like you didn't need backup after all. Choji sweated and chuckled. Oh, yes we did. Trust me, we did. Shikamaru nodded. It's true. We didn't beat her, Naruto did. Naruto beat 2 others, captured this girl here, and then went off further to keep up the chase. Choji said the first guy almost killed him one-on-one. Temari blinked in surprise. Naruto's out here too. He must have been rushed out even faster than we were. So you're saying the headless mohawk guy that we saw on the way here and the dead spider guy with a kunai in the back of his head were examples of Naruto saving your asses? Choji and Shikamaru nodded. Choji raised his hand. I was there when he started fighting the mohawk guy. If the fight stayed the way it started off, then yes, Naruto definitely killed that guy. After picking up Tayuya, they set back out for Konoha. Shikamaru spoke up. So you guys were sent to back us up? Temari nodded. Right after Naruto left sooner, we got a messenger hawk from Konoha asking for assistance for an emergency, so we left immediately. With the speed we were moving, I thought we would have passed him on the way, but he must not have been joking about how he said he could run straight from Suna to Konoha non-stop. Shikamaru chuckled. You'd better believe it if he told you. Naruto beat 3 of these guys with little to no trouble. Where are your teammates? Temari pointed her thumb over her shoulder. We split up in the 3 different directions that we sensed your group in. They probably found the rest of your group by now. Shikamaru sighed in relief. That's good, this troublesome mission finally has a silver lining around a gray cloud. Let's get back to Konoha and wait for the others. Naruto and Kimimaro stood facing off, Kimimaro using his cursed seal level 1 form, Naruto activating the Kyuubi's shroud. The two stood still while the wind blew across the field. Kimimaro pulled the bones out of both of his arms to dual-wield swords. Let us begin. A short quirk of Naruto's lips was all the indication to start that either needed as they moved as blurs across the battlefield. Naruto was dodging Kimimaro's double-handed strikes and attempting to counter with his claws. Naruto ducked a dual slash at his head but ended up getting kicked back by Kimimaro. Naruto ducked down low and rushed at Kimimaro's legs, shooting for his knees with a takedown attempts, sweeps, and swiping at his legs and lower torso with his claws while simultaneously avoiding low stabbing attempts from Kimimaro. Kimimaro was the best all-around close-range fighter in pretty much all of Otogaku, and a good fighter can tell things about their opponent's style from watching him attack. Kimimaro saw that what Naruto gave up in poise and precise movements due to his influx of power he gained in terms of his bloodlust and ways to cause injury to his enemies. If Kimimaro didn't up his own power himself, then the attack would have begun to overwhelm him. After dodging a slash at his face, Kimimaro cut into Naruto's hip on both sides with a cross slash and cut into his chest with rapid slashes that sent the demonically charged blonde backwards. Naruto picked himself up by his sword that he landed by and looked back out at Kimimaro while holding the handle. Where there was momentarily blind rage in Naruto's eyes, cognizant thought made a return. Wow, I almost started losing it there for a second. I need to train more using this chakra or else I might not be so lucky next time. I forgot about what too much of this stuff would do to me. One tail is overbearing. Naruto pulled the sword from the ground and smirked at Kimimaro before the two vanished and began clashing once again. The sound of bone clashing with steel echoed around the area, as they crossed blades with one another again. Naruto's attacks once again became a fluid match for Kimimaro's sleep movements as the two dealt an equal amount of grazing wounds to one another as they met in a stalemate in Kenjutsu. When they broke off again, Naruto threw his sword like a javelin at Kimimaro, and at the relatively close range that the two were at, it thudded directly into his breastbone, however barely sunk in at all despite the force used. Naruto scoffed as Kimimaro pulled the sword out and threw it aside. those are some seriously tough bones, that would have run anyone else clean through. Naruto backed away and rushed in again, this time forming a cage bunchen as a feint to engage with his hands while the original leapt over Kimimaro to end up behind him. Naruto quickly molded wind chakra around his fists and held his fists together before shooting them out to utilize Fujin's second wind release, divine fist of the wind god. Kimimaro looked back when he felt the influx of chakra, but this allowed the clone of Naruto to kick him off of their physical clash, hard, sending him into the crushing force of the wind jutsu. As the attack hit Kimimaro and began pushing him forward at the clone, he was kicked by the clone in question, formed the exact same jutsu and shot it off at the incoming Kimimaro. The two attacks smashed into one another with Kimimaro in between them. For the time that the jutsu held up, Naruto could see that Kimimaro's entire frame visibly compressed under the crushing pressure of the powerful attack. Kimimaro landed on his feet, panting heavily from the intensity of Naruto's jutsu. Naruto audibly sucked his teeth as he and his clone fired off the attacks once more, smashing Kimimaro between them with even more force this time. Naruto hit him so hard with the attack that he clearly heard the sound of bones cracking on Kimimaro's figure. Naruto's eye slightly twitched. Tough bones or not, you should be human paste after that. I put a ton of chakra into that one. Nothing short of some kind of metal can stand up to that kind of pressure. Despite not being killed by Naruto's double Fujin Seiken, it still did damage. The pressure did end up having an effect on Kimimaro. Naruto saw the whites of Kimimaro's eyes turning blood red, meaning that the intense pressure popped blood vessels up there. Blood ran from Kimimaro's ears and nose, even from underneath his finger and toenails. Kimimaro didn't seem to be in any pain, but it was obvious that such internal damage had left him in agony. Do you see? Kimimaro dropped the swords in his hands as he began to transform again. Orochimaru-sama and his ambition, that is why I fight, for his goals and dream. I am his weapon, and I will allow myself to be broken if it will prevent someone like you from stopping him. Kimimaro's skin turned brown and 6 large bone spikes protruded from the sides of his back. In addition to that, a spiky tail emerged from his back, and upon seeing that, Naruto just could not help himself. He pointed at Kimimaro with a dull expression on his face. Is that a motherfucking tail? Seriously, you grew a tail? Kimimaro stood back up and looked at Naruto with a superior gaze. This is Orochimaru-sama's gift to me. And with it, I will repay him for all he has done by vanquishing the ones that stand in the way of him and his grand plans. Kimimaro pulled out his spinal column to form a flexible, spiky chain staff. This is the Tessenka no Mai, Itsaru, dance of the Clementus, vine. You are quite skilled to push me this far, but you will not win. Orochimaru-sama has plans for Sasuke Uchiha. It is most unfortunate for you that you will not live to see them come to fruition. Naruto drew his sword once again. Well, in order to make that happen, you're going to have to come over here and fight me, unless you think you can kill me by talking me to death. Kimimaro snapped his new weapon in a test of sorts. For the future of Otogaku and Orochimaru-sama, you will die today. Naruto set his sword in a ready stance and gazed out at Kimimaro coldly. For someone that seems to have a fetish for saying that they're going to kill me, you sure do a lot of talking. Kimimaro began whipping his chain staff at Naruto, who found that Kimimaro was far faster in this form than before. It looks like this transformation of his isn't just for show. Naruto took a lash on his shoulder that ripped into his flesh deeply. Kimimaro then hit Naruto with the whip and had it wrap around Naruto's right arm and pull him forward to sink a kick deep into his ribs that freed him from the weapon at the cost of flesh and blood being shredded from his arm. Naruto held the injured limb and watched his blood drip off of his body and onto the ground before he heard hissing, signifying that he was healing somewhat. Naruto growled as he stood back up, keeping his eyes locked on Kimimaro. He decided to go on the attack this time, but every time he took a swing at Kimimaro, he ended up getting a lash on his hands. Eventually Naruto roared as he went for a heavy overhead swing, but a strike from Kimimaro's whip sent it out into the distance, far from the point of any kind of retrieval. Kimimaro backed off and began whipping Naruto, cutting into his body and drawing blood with every shot. He struck Naruto across his chest, his back, his arms. Wherever he could hit Naruto cleanly, he did hit Naruto. After an endless barrage of strikes from the whip of his enemy, Naruto dropped to the ground, shaking in pain as blood fell from his body to the grass below, staining the green blades red. His shirt was in tatters and was utterly unwearable any longer. Kimimaro wrapped his chain staff around Naruto's arm and jerked him forward, dragging him across the ground on his left side. Naruto eventually regained his footing and Kimimaro's eyes widened as he saw what had been hidden in Naruto's left hand, but he had given Naruto too much momentum and by now Naruto had a full running start heading his way. Thrusting out his left hand that had a threatening blue sphere spinning in the palm, Naruto shouted out the name of his attack at the top of his lungs as he slammed it into Kimimaro's body, raising a spiraling sphere. Die, you son of a bitch. As the jutsu drilled into Kimimaro's body, flesh visibly flew from the point of contact. The force from the attack sent Kimimaro flying away at a high velocity, pulling the whip with him as it pulled itself from Naruto's arm, taking yet another bite out of Naruto's already heavily wounded body. Naruto fell to the ground clutching his bloody arm before he started crawling towards the direction that Kimimaro flew in, trying to confirm his kill. What an incredibly destructive ninjutsu. If I had not grown a layer of bone underneath my skin, that most certainly would have ended our battle. Naruto saw Kimimaro standing and walking over to him from the far distance that he had been sent. Where Naruto hit him in the body, there was the area where Naruto ripped through his skin, a spherical circle of brown, and within there was a visible film of white with a spiral groove carved deeply into it with blood slightly seeping through the cracks that the mark formed, the bone he had been talking about. Naruto punched the ground hard with his injured arm and stood up again. Just fucking die already, goddamn it. I should have killed you 4 times already and you're fucking standing like a goddamn zombie. I hit you dead on. I heard it, I felt it. I heard and felt the fucking Rasengan grinding into you, that was a kill shot. You should be split in half. Fuck a Kekkei Genkai, that shit isn't right. Naruto was using as much of the Kyuubi's chakra as he safely could and Kimimaro was outclassing him. It wasn't that Naruto didn't have what it took to go up against him in his second level form, it was the fact that Kimimaro seemingly had 9 lives or something, because the Shikotsumiku dead bone pulse kept Kimimaro from taking the brunt of Naruto's attack damage. He couldn't cut through his bones, he couldn't slip a weapon through the ribs for a stab at his organs, hell he couldn't even crush him with enough pressure to bend iron because Kimimaro could just manipulate his skeletal frame to protect his vital points. Naruto sighed and picked up a taijutsu stance once again to attack. How the fuck can I kill him? He just keeps coming. I know I'm hurting him, I have to be. Every attack I'm landing would leave anyone else in critical condition if not kill him outright. Naruto didn't have time to ponder too much as Kimimaro brought his whip back out and began attacking again. Naruto did his best to avoid getting anywhere near the bony barbs of the weapon, but Kimimaro kept picking up the pace of his attacks and hit Naruto in his legs, sending him to his knees. Kimimaro slung the weapon out once more to wrap it around Naruto's body. It was stopped by a burst of sand that squeezed between the whip and protected Naruto from further harm. Even more sand then appeared and came at Kimimaro, who jumped back and put distance between himself and Naruto. A smile broke out onto Naruto's face as he felt the familiar presence of his desert friend. Hey Gaara. What's up? Gaara slowly walked up to Naruto, who was still on his knees, and stared out at Kimimaro. Nothing. Gaara was suddenly surprised by a bloody Naruto wrapping Gaara in a hug. I'm glad to see you. I thought I wouldn't get a chance to go after Sasuke. What are you doing here anyway? He shrugged Naruto off of him after a moment. My siblings and I were requested by your Hokage to assist a retrieval team for Sasuke Uchiha. Are you having trouble with this one, Uzumaki? Naruto was relishing this moment of reprieve from combat due to his injuries, and talking with Gaara was allowing him time to heal and regain some energy. Great, now someone can go back up Rock Lee. I sent him to chase after Sasuke before he could get away. I need you to go help him out. Surprise was not evident on Gaara's face except for the raised eyebrow. Are you not having trouble with your opponent? Pulling off the remains of his tattered red shirt, Naruto chuckled lowly. Yes, but this is a duel, Gaara. I don't get all out of shape about this kind of thing often in a fight, but I need to beat this guy myself to get some peace with myself. Just go and help Lee. I'll be fine. Gaara looked at Naruto for a moment as the smile left Naruto's face and his stare turned chilly. I wasn't really asking you, Gaara. Either you go after Lee and let me finish this, or I'll kick your ass off into the woods until you can't even see the field anymore, and you know damn well I'm capable of that. Gaara stared back until he stepped back and ran off towards the border. I will go, Uzumaki, but you had better not lose. Naruto waved over his shoulder as Gaara left the area. Kimimaro strode forward, swishing his tail. That was honorable of you to elect to continue our battle one-on-one in order to keep your comrade alive and safe from my wrath. I will make your death as honorable as I can for trash such as you. Naruto grinned at Kimimaro evilly. I didn't make him leave because I thought he would die fighting you. Hell, I won't die fighting you, because you can't kill me. I made Gaara leave because while I am fully capable of killing you here, it's going to cause me to go a little overboard, and I don't need too many witnesses for this. I catch enough crap without people knowing I can do this. The Kyuubi stopped focusing on Naruto's fight when he realized what Naruto was going to do. Kit, no. Wait. Your body isn't sturdy enough to handle the stress that it will cause you. You don't even have enough of your own energy and chakra to attempt it. Naruto didn't answer, instead choosing to undo the bag on his waist and empty its contents into his hand, grin still in place. In the palm of his blood-stained hand were 3 soldier pills. Naruto looked at Kimimaro defiantly and popped all 3 at once. After a second, Naruto began to twitch as the veins on his head began to pulsate. Kimimaro was curious as to what Naruto was doing at this moment. All of those pills would require an immediate outlet for his chakra, or else he would die within less than 5 minutes. Naruto expelled as much of his chakra as he could, enveloping his body in an aura of blue. He then channeled as much of the Kyuubi's chakra as his body could handle generating at one moment. The red glow from his body raised up high into the sky. As suddenly as it was all expelled, it was all sucked right back into Naruto's body. It didn't dissipate, it didn't fade away as if he had just stopped using it, no. He sucked it back into his body. You could literally see the chakra entering through his pores, turning his skin the color of an angry red, as if his entire body was irritated greatly. Naruto fell to his knees as he began scratching at his skin and screaming in pain as a vulpine snout began extending from his face while he gritted his teeth, now becoming fangs. Naruto's ears retracted into his head and reappeared on top as his hair turned red. His pores, which were still wide from absorbing so much chakra, began to quickly sprout red hair from them, covering his body in fur. Naruto's muscle mass increased to an added 1/2 of what it already was, pumping him up considerably. His claws extended even more than they already were. Naruto's spine pushed downward out of his pants and skin and split into 2 before muscle and skin grew over both segments, followed by more fur to make bushy, white-tipped fox tails. In the end he looked like a werewolf, only as a fox instead of a wolf. Naruto was kneeled over on the ground panting heavily following the violent transformation. He slowly rose to his feet, looking at Kimimaro with pupil-less glowing red eyes with one black slit in the middle. Naruto chuckled painfully in a warped voice, wow, ugh, I didn't think it would hurt that much. I guess Kyuubi was right, my body can't take this transformation yet. I'm glad I didn't try the real one, just the bastardized version. Kimimaro tried to make heads or tails of what he had just seen. It looked like a level 2 cursed seal transformation, only it looked natural. The transformations of the cursed seal were entirely generated by the dark, tainted impure enzymes that the seal always had pumping throughout the user's body. Going with the feelings and suggestions that the enzymes would invariably provide you with made you mentally weak, but it was like a drug. Fighting what the seal gave you, however, could hurt you, as Anko Matarashi could definitely attest to. But still, it was all an artificial amplifier. What Kimimaro had just seen Naruto do had not felt dark or unnatural at all. It felt like it was supposed to happen. The only time throughout the entire sequence of events that he felt hate and bloodlust and darkness was when Naruto flared the oppressive red chakra that he then absorbed. From that point it was like watching a natural metamorphosis. He was absolutely amazed. What are you? Naruto scratched his head sheepishly. I'm whatever you want to call me. It doesn't matter because you're going to die here all the same anyway, so for the next few moments you can call me what you'd like. His fox-like grin that was on his human visage chilled Kimimaro as it showed on his true fox-like features, but for the sake of me separating myself from you cursed seal assholes, I guess you can call this the kitsune trigger. Naruto flexed his claws and tested his tails out, smiling as he easily manipulated them. All right, enough chit-chat, you've seen one of my trump cards and now you must die. Naruto vanished. There was no blur, there was no streak of red, there was only an afterimage that simply faded out of existence. He left no trace of his former presence there, no broken grass, no sound of footsteps, nothing. Kimimaro's eyes were darting all about as he whipped his body all around. There was no way that there was someone that was that fast enough to reveal nothing. Well, he kept that theory right until he ended up taking slashes across his body that cut through the skin and muscle straight to his bones. He recoiled from his deep cuts and ended up getting cracked directly in the face, and Kimimaro couldn't even tell you what had just hit him. A fist, a shin, a knee, an elbow. What? The impact of the attack sent Kimimaro rolling back like a rag doll. He stood and spun around rapidly with his arms out. As he gained speed, he let off an endless amount of bullets from his fingers. All around him the field was littered with misfired bones that he was letting off like shells from a mounted machine gun. Kimimaro was stopped when his legs were taken out from under him, sending him head over heels to the ground. He jumped back up to his feet. What the hell are you? Your executioner. Kimimaro didn't have time to turn and face the voice in his ear before his arms were grabbed from behind and jerked out of the socket as Naruto had just jumped over him from behind while holding his arms and landing in front of. Naruto leaned far forward, using Kimimaro's weight to keep him grounded and started smashing savage single-leg mule kicks into Kimimaro's torso, as if he were trying to rip his arms off of his body. Naruto then jumped off of the ground and planted a vicious twin-legged double mule kick to Kimimaro's face, letting go of his arms at the same time, sending him flying off backwards. Naruto looked at Kimimaro, whose arms were backwards at his sides. Fix that, you bitch. Kimimaro simply rotated his arms with a sick crackling noise until they were back in place. Naruto's sweat dropped. I didn't really mean do it. Naruto then vanished again and hit Kimimaro again and again. He couldn't see Naruto's attacks, but they couldn't kill him. It was the ultimate conundrum of combat. Kimimaro couldn't hit Naruto to save his life at this point, but on the flip side Naruto couldn't end the fight himself. Naruto was too fast to be caught by anything Kimimaro could do and was utterly battering him, in addition to him having an almost inexhaustible battery at his disposal, but he couldn't fucking kill Kimimaro. It always came back to that, he would not die. It was the embodiment of the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object, and the fight just would not end. Naruto was getting sick and tired of Kimimaro getting up from everything he did and just walking forward to try again. After knocking Kimimaro down again, Naruto began jumping on Kimimaro's back like a trampoline, savagely flattening him deeply into his own body-shaped crater that was getting deeper and deeper. Why won't you just fucking die, 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 die? Naruto jumped high into the air and landed as hard as he could with his knees into Kimimaro's spine. He scoffed to himself as he knew he would just get right back up. Naruto crouched down on Kimimaro's back as low as he could muster, and jumped with all of his might into the air, intent on eradicating the last of the Shikotsumiku bloodline. Kit. What, Kyubi? Can't you see I'm getting my kill on here? Naruto was still rising into the air as he spoke, with eyes locked on Kimimaro set to crush him like an ant. Kyubi roared from inside Naruto's head, listen you whelp. You directly went against me once already when you used the kitsune trigger, you will listen to me now. Naruto kept his ascent into the sky as he was now getting stuck in the clouds. Hell, he could see the valley of the end from where he was. Your body is breaking down. You weren't properly conditioned to use this form yet, as you already knew before you did it. You need to end this. Now, use the Imari menacing ball. Naruto would have slapped himself if it wouldn't have looked silly for a humanoid fox hanging almost 300 feet in the air to slap himself. Why the fuck didn't I do that from the start? He ain't gonna get up from that. Naruto channeled raw demonic chakra in his hands and formed a sphere before consuming it. Yuck, I forgot this chakra tastes like crap. Naruto yipped loudly as he fired a beam from his mouth, instead of a ball, that just ended up hiking him even higher into the air as it careened down at Kimimaro, who was stuck inside of his body-sized crater. As it hit Kimimaro, it vaporized the entire landscape around the point of impact in a hellacious explosion that rocked the earth and sent debris and other things high into the air with a horrible sound. Konohagakure, Hokage Tower. Tsunade was sitting in her office with a bottle of sake while massaging her temple. This job is going to kill me one of these days. Boom. The entire tower shook with earthquake-like force as Tsunade fell from her seat onto the ground. Everything on her shelves and on her desk shook and fell to the floor from the force of the tremor. As quickly as it came, it passed and she shot to her feet to look out of the window on the ruckus that it caused throughout the village. People on the ground, windows broken, potted plants littering the sides of the streets. Tsunade listened to all of the panic. What the hell was that? Gates of Konohagakure no Sato, Temari, Shikamaru, and Choji hit the ground and covered up the second the tremors hit. Tayuya had fear in her eyes as she was still bound and utterly helpless. As the bout passed, Temari voiced the thoughts of all of them. What the hell was that? Forests around Konohagakure. Neji rubbed his head as he had fallen out of the tree he was jumping from during the shockwave. Neji looked up to Kankuro, who had latched onto the tree branch he was on like a sloth to avoid falling. Is everyone alright? Kankuro let go of the tree and landed on the ground. What the hell was that? What happened? They both turned around to see Kurori upturned and heard Kiba beating on it from the inside. Why did I land on my head? Shit. I'm bleeding again. Naruto drifted down to the ground easily with the use of his tails as a propeller. Upon landing he grabbed his tails and rubbed them. Kami, what a workout, my tails are gassed. Naruto then looked around at the destruction from his attack. He was standing in the middle of a crater that was 3 miles wide right on top of a pile of ashes that he kicked around. I got you this time, you dirty bastard. Naruto gestured to the wreckage that he created. Regrow that motherfucker. A second tremor happened that was smaller than Naruto's, not that he was on the ground to feel the first one, but it shook him up. Naruto's eyes widened as he heard the voice of a dead man. Sawarabi no Mai, dance of the seedling fern. A forest of bones jutted from the ground suddenly, catching Naruto off guard. The jutsu filled all of the immediate area with sharp bones that extended high into the air. Yip, yip, yip. No, no. Naruto was slowly hovering down from the air, tail spinning furiously to slow his descent as he again jumped high into the air to dodge the death trap that Kimimaro had set out for him. Naruto eventually latched onto one of the bones that stuck out higher than the others. Damn, this is one hell of a suicide jutsu. But too bad, sucker. You missed. Kimimaro then suddenly emerged, half of his body from the bone Naruto was attached to with a bone drill around his arm. His skin was missing and seared off on multiple areas of his body, revealing muscle and parts of his skeleton. Time slowed down as Kimimaro thrusted his bone drill at Naruto. Die. I will not lose for the sake of Orochimaru-sama. Kimimaro drilled into Naruto before he burst into smoke as a broken ninjato dropped from where Kimimaro had made contact. Naruto was nowhere to be found. Kimimaro's eyes quivered as tears came to the forefront. Blood seeped from his mouth and he slumped over lifelessly. Blood and tears fell into the forest of bones as Kimimaro left the world of the living with one regret: he could not finish off Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto sat on the outskirts of the bone forest panting in relief. Oh Kami. That was close, I love that sword so much, I need to come back and get it. Kawarimi is amazing. Naruto sighed and let his fox features from Kitsune trigger recede. Naruto began to walk away before he collapsed to the ground in pain. Gar. What happened? Why am I in pain? His questions were answered by the Kyuubi. I told you that your body wasn't ready to use the trigger again, and this is the result of your ignorance. Prolonged use of the Kitsune trigger has cracked every single bone in your entire body. That's what you get for using a technique you weren't ready to utilize, that, and you pretty much almost overdosed on soldier pills. Naruto laid out on the ground, twitching occasionally from the pain of his entire body. I'm aware of that now, and I have to say, after considering everything that just happened, a smile came on his face. It was totally worth it. Uzumaki. Naruto's vision was filled with a red-headed Jinchuriki standing over him. Did you win? Naruto gave him a dry look. Does it look like I lost? Or does the graveyard of bones with the motionless body of the team I was fighting stuck inside one of them signify that he kicked my ass and killed me? A mouthful of sand was given to Naruto as a reply, who painfully rolled over and spit it all out. Gross. You fucking crush people with that shit. Naruto noticed Rock Lee's body held by Gaara's sand. Is he? No. Gaara used his sand to help Naruto stand up to get a better look. Lee had scrapes and bruises on his face. His spandex suit had holes in it around his shoulder that had sealed itself up from the Chidori. He was still breathing clearly though, he is still very alive. The Uchiha defeated him, but not without a massive fight from the looks of where they did battle. I believe he even used the technique that he used on me during our fight to match power with the Uchiha. Naruto punched his own palm, ignoring the pain for the time being. Fuck, I'm sorry Lee, I just couldn't finish my opponent off to help you fast enough. He turned to Gaara. Come on, let's go back to Konoha, we both need some hospital time. Gaara helped up in the same manner as he assisted Lee and leapt off for Konoha. Naruto sat in his hospital room 2 days after returning to Konoha from the failed mission to retrieve Sasuke. Naruto was pleased to know upon their return that Rock Lee would be fine, and that the only other member of the retrieval team that needed to be hospitalized other than himself and Lee was Kiba, and he was doing just fine himself. Kiba had a stab wound to his stomach that he had inflicted on himself. Rock Lee had many minuscule injuries to his muscles, chakra exhaustion, and a wounded shoulder from Sasuke's Chidori that mostly healed after he activated the fourth celestial gate in the battle. Naruto had to chuckle when Lee had recovered enough to tell him exactly how Sasuke had missed anything vital with the Chidori. Flashback, Valley of the End. Sasuke stood across from Lee, the black marks of the cursed seal spread out across his body like fire. He had a cruel smirk on his face as he looked at Lee, who was set in his Guken stance with a determined look on his face. Just come back with us, Sasuke-kun. I do not want to fight you, not like this. Sasuke chuckled darkly, but Lee, I want to fight you, ever since you first defeated me during the exams. Didn't you say you wanted to prove yourself against a genius? Well, this is your chance. Very well, Sasuke-kun. If this is what it will take, then I will defeat you if I must to bring you home. Lee launched himself at Sasuke to begin engaging. Flashback End. Rock Lee, however, was not as healthy and ready for combat as he had led most to believe. He had lost a considerable amount of his speed and mobility from the time he had off due to his injury, and Sasuke with the use of his curse seal was too much for Lee to handle in his state, even after opening the first gate and attempting the Omote wrenched front lotus. The toll it took on his already battered body left Lee a mess, and a sitting duck for Sasuke's Chidori. Flashback, Sasuke's hand was charged with electric chakra as the chirping of Chidori signified his next actions. Lee tried to will his body to prepare a counter or just dodge, but he knew Sasuke would track his considerably slower movements and adjust. Either way, he was taking the brunt of the attack somewhere vital. Sasuke charged at Lee, intent on ending his life and moving along to Otogaku. This is the end, Lee. Chidori, 1000 birds. Somehow both boys were able to ignore the streak of red soaring to the earth from the sky. Boom! A loud explosion shook the entire valley, crumbling chunks of the cliff and sending them into the water below. The ground where Lee and Sasuke were fighting was ripped asunder by the force of the following tremor coming from whatever caused the explosion. Sasuke, who was charging at Lee, intent on ending his life, slipped on his suspect footing as the ground began to crack and crumble. The combination of Sasuke's broken concentration and his face-forward trip made sure that not only would his aim be off, but the attack would not penetrate too deeply. Lee shouted in pain as Sasuke's electric fist forced itself into his shoulder, but he was still alive. Alive and still able to fight, as Sasuke would soon find out. Flashback End. Lee proceeded to activate the necessary gates to utilize the Ura Wrench Reverse Lotus on Sasuke. 3. But Lee still lacked the necessary force to aptly send Sasuke towards the ground hard enough for the finish, for when Sasuke activated level 2 of his seal, he used his wings to taper out his fall and skid along the ground until he came to a stop. By the end of Lee's barrage, he could no longer move and Sasuke simply left him there. Lee blacked out and was found by Gaara, who could not track Sasuke's trail in the downpouring rain that had fallen in the valley, and carried him to where Naruto's battle had taken place before carrying them both back to Konoha. Which brings us to Naruto sitting in his bed at the hospital. Naruto's entire skeletal frame had cracked due to the stress that activating the kitsune trigger placed on his body. Tsunade had to do the analysis version of a double take when she went over his injuries at the hospital. She stated that Naruto had to be in excruciating pain due to the extent of his injuries that he neglected to mention were self-inflicted in a way. After the first day he had attempted to leave, feeling well enough to walk without falling down in agony. But was blocked by Shizune, who stated that he was to stay put until released. That was 2 days ago, and now he was beginning to go stir crazy. But a little bit of boredom was nothing compared to what Tsunade claimed he would have to do on this day. Flashback, the previous day. You mind repeating that? I think I had something crazy in my ear. Naruto was giving Tsunade a deadpan look. A sigh came from the ample-bosomed woman as she looked at the bedridden boy apologetically. You heard me, brat. The council wants to hear from you about the mission. They got the information from my Anbu, who investigated the battles after it was all over. They know of the reports from Shikamaru on the matter. He listed how it was you that took down 3 of the ones that took Sasuke. Naruto looked up at the ceiling blankly. I'm guessing that there's more to this than me just beating a few Oto jabronis. Right, kid. Tsunade sat by his bedside. They also got wind of the fact that the epicenter of the little earthquake that hit the surrounding area came from a crater with a forest of bone, a place where your scent is thick. It didn't help that there are faint traces of demonic aura in the area as well. They might try to reason that the Kyuubi could be escaping. Naruto looked at her in a stunned fashion. What do you think they'll want from me? Tsunade shrugged. Who knows for now. All you can do is head over to the council chambers tomorrow and we'll find out then. Naruto scoffed and looked out the window. Well, excuse the hell out of me for being a Jinchuriki trying to use his Biju. Kami, everywhere else expects their own Jinchuriki to do so. This place is ass backwards Bar-chan, I swear. Tsunade patted his hand and stood to leave. You can check out tomorrow for the meeting and then you can go on home. If you're well enough to get chewed out, then you're well enough to sleep in your own bed. End flashback. Naruto arrived at the doors in front of the council chambers to find the bare-masked Anbu standing out front. Uzumaki-san, the council is inside waiting. Hokage-sama said to wait as long as you need to in order to prepare for their questions. Naruto waved it off. No need, Kuma-san. I do my best when I'm on the spot. I just want to get the Gripe Fest inside over with so I can go home and watch my shitty closed-circuit TV. A snort came from another corner of the hall as Kuma moved and allowed Naruto entrance into the council chambers. As he walked inside, he noticed the conversation drop off and most of the focus fell on him. There were almost unanimous glares from the civilian council, and when he turned to bid him a jaunty hello, he almost broke down in laughter as they tried their hand at the pathetic excuse for killing intent. Naruto saw that all of the clan heads were looking at him and he could read their expressions as he made his way to the table he was to remain at. The Akamaiki, Yamanaka, and Nara clan heads were pretty objective. The Nara and Akamaiki clan heads were actually giving him looks of acknowledgement, obviously being told by their sons about his actions during the mission. The Inuzuka matriarch was smirking at him with mirth evident on her face, a smirk that he readily returned. The Hyuga clan head was just looking at him. He couldn't tell what was going on behind those white eyes. Damn, Hyugas have a great poker face, likewise for the Aburame clan. Naruto saw the council elder advisors and saw Danzo, but let his face betray nothing, as did Danzo. Naruto knew they would never openly get a chance to speak, not for a long time, and if Danzo found that opening he would find Naruto if he really needed to. There was no need for Naruto to act like a lost puppy right now. Taking his seat at the table, he looked at the elders as if to state, "Can we start yet?" Tsunade then cleared her throat to speak. Chun and Naruto Uzumaki, you have been brought here at the behest of Konohagakure no Sato's village council for your details on the mission to retrieve Sasuke Uchiha. She turned to the elders. Those of you that have questions on what happened, you may ask. Naruto turned his attention to the elders themselves, who opened the floor with questioning. Koharu Utatane chose to go first. Uzumaki-san, if you could, would you give us a verbal description of your experiences during the mission? Naruto nodded. I set out from the village during the morning to catch up to the retrieval team in order to provide adequate assistance to them in case they wound up being outclassed by their opposition. After picking up a trail within the first half hour, I proceeded to give pursuit for about 3 hours before catching up to Choji Akamaiki, who was engaged in battle against, now identified, Jirobo of the South. Choji was on the verge of taking the third of the secret Akamaiki pills in order to combat his foe when I stepped in and sent him to go catch up with the rest of the team. I then proceeded to swiftly dispatch Jirobo and follow suit in catching up to the team. The old man next to Koharu, Homura Mitokado, nodded. This much was revealed by young Choji's report and by the Anbu that found Jirobo's corpse following the mission. You may proceed. Naruto rolled his eyes. Then why did you fucking ask me then? Ignoring that voice in his head, he continued. I then found Neji Hyuga in the middle of fighting Kidomaru of the East. He seemed to be doing fine on his own. It was an even deadlock, but Kidomaru had yet to unlock the second stage of his cursed seal, so I decided to intervene. Neji was able to keep Kidomaru's attention until I was able to launch a stealth attack from a distance that ended his life. Naruto licked his lips in pause before continuing. Both Neji and myself then caught up to Shikamaru, Nara and Choji Akamaiki, who had rejoined the main force. Rock Lee and Kiba Inuzuka had been separated from the team while Shikamaru and Choji were being held up by Tayuya of the North. I sent Neji off to find Kiba, who had fallen from a cliff into the river below, and fought Tayuya along with Shikamaru and Choji. She caught them in a genjutsu, and knowing how much trouble a skilled genjutsu specialist usually has against a close-range specialist, I closed the distance and defeated her, freeing Choji and Shikamaru. I captured her, and Shikamaru along with Choji returned her to Konoha as a prisoner. Naruto then looked at the elders as if expecting comments. Tsunade motioned for him to go on. Proceed, Uzumaki. Naruto sighed and looked at all of the people. No doubt everyone in the room knew what was next. I ran ahead and then made contact with Rock Lee, who was fighting Kimimaro Kaguya at the time. I sent Lee off ahead to retrieve Sasuke while I stayed to keep Kimimaro from assisting Sasuke's escape. After a prolonged conflict and timely momentary assistance from Sabaku no Gaara, I was able to outlast Kimimaro and defeat him. However, I was too injured to continue with the mission and had to be assisted by Gaara, who had also found and retrieved an injured Rock Lee. A civilian council member stood up. "So you let the last Uchiha escape, did you, boy?" Naruto narrowed his eyes at the man. "You already know he got away, you son of a bitch. You just want to use me as your whipping boy on the matter." Naruto spoke evenly. "I did not allow anything. He may have gotten beyond the border, but the team and myself did everything we could to prevent that from happening." Another council member stood and pointed at him. "But you already defeated the Uchiha in combat. If you had just left the battle with the Kaguya to that Rock Lee person, then you could have personally stopped Sasuke yourself." Naruto bristled at the insinuation. "Listen. Kimimaro Kaguya was far beyond any of their levels. He was sick, he was weak, and it still took everything I had to put him down. Nothing that Rock Lee is capable of would have beaten him. No one else on the retrieval squad or the relief team from Suna could have fought and defeated him. He might have even found a way to overwhelm me had he not used the last of his chakra on his final technique. Or does a giant forest of bones not register as potentially hazardous to a team comprised of genin?" The civilians sat down, ceding at Naruto's explanation when Hiashi Hyuga's firm voice was heard. The forest of bones was also inside of a massive crater. The crater was the epicenter for the tremors that struck Konoha. "What can you tell us about that?" Naruto knew there was no need to lie at this point. "Yes, I did it. It was necessary to keep up with Kimimaro Kaguya after he activated the next level of his seal. It's a high price to pay to use that much power. However, the force of my technique cracks my entire skeletal frame." Inoiki Yamanaka was curious as to the nature of Naruto's maneuver. "Would you mind showing the technique to us?" Naruto raised an eyebrow. Yes, I would, actually. Not only is it something that really shouldn't be used outside of combat, it's not something that I want people to know about, let alone actually see. You all have your own clan secrets and all of that. Well, consider this something that none of you have any right to coerce out of me." Another arrogant civilian stood. "We are the council, boy. You are a ninja of this village and therefore your secrets are ours to know." Naruto gave him a look as if to say, "Are you serious?" He looked up at Tsunade. "I work for you. Not some petty merchant with a superiority complex. Keep him out of shinobi business." He turned to the council. "The only ones that have even the slightest amount of authority over me are the clan heads, and that's because they're all Junin. Outside of the field, the only person here that can tell me to do anything is Hokage-sama. Do any of you have the title of Hokage-sama?" He got a unanimous shaking of heads. "Do any of you have that kick-ass pointy hat?" Another round of no's. "Well then you can all respectfully stuff it. My techniques are my own, you don't need to know them, you couldn't perform them anyway, so the knowledge would be useless." The civilians broke into an uproar while the clan heads started looking at Naruto with amused respect. The main yells from the civilian council were calling for Naruto's punishment until one of them changed the subject altogether. "You should be punished for allowing the Uchiha to escape. He was the last of our most powerful bloodlines and you send another genin to get him instead of yourself." Naruto looked at the ignorant man coldly. "Like I said, Kimimaro Kaguya was far beyond anything Rock Lee could have done to him. Kimimaro would have killed him for sure had I not stepped in, which was my job in the first place. I was sent as backup, to get them out of unfavorable situations, and that was as unfavorable a condition as they were going to face on that mission." Naruto stood and began pacing. Kimimaro could have beaten Sasuke without trouble. Sasuke only had Chidori and a few Kaiten ninjutsu as something that could slow Kimimaro down, and that wouldn't have stopped him. What I did to make that crater, Kimimaro survived it and launched one final attack. As far as I'm concerned, none of them could have kept up with him. And besides, I was sent to make sure they could carry out their own mission parameters. My own were different from theirs and I did what I thought I had to do to achieve both. Rock Lee had not told me that he wasn't in prime condition. I don't know what would have changed if I had known, but that is moot at this point. Get back to the other topic. What did you do to cause the crater?" The room once again got loud on the civilian side as cries of, "The QB is escaping," among other asinine remarks were being made. The shinobi side were looking bored, most of them knowing full well that Jinchuriki should be able to utilize the power of the demons, so this wasn't much of an issue. Suminazuka even let out a loud yawn signifying how bored with the proceedings she was. Naruto made subtle motions to the shinobi council signaling, blah blah blah, and pointing at the civilian side, getting a few smirks on that side. He looked up at Tsunade. Can I be dismissed, Hokage-sama? I've already spoken my piece, anything from this point forward and there's nothing I can do or have any part in. Tsunade nodded. You are dismissed, Chunin Uzumaki. Naruto bowed to her and left the room. As the door closed shut, she sighed as another uproar from the civilians broke out. Naruto sighed in relief as he jumped along the rooftops towards his apartment. Well, that wasn't as unpleasant as it could have been. Hopefully Bar-chan can block any of their power play bullcrap against me. Naruto arrived and opened the door to his apartment to find Kankuro raiding his fridge. Naruto's eye twitched as he grabbed Kankuro by the collar and dragged him away from his food. What the hell are you guys still doing here? Kankuro looked at Naruto smugly as the boy let go of him. Don't you remember, Naruto? You told Gaara we could stay here after he got you to the hospital. Naruto looked around his apartment. Does my place look like it can accommodate all of you and me at the same time? Why don't you all go and get a hotel, you rich bastards? Kankuro chuckled. Well, we got the call to leave so quickly that we didn't have any time to go home and grab any money. We were fortunate Gaara asked you. A tick mark appeared on Naruto's head. Gaara asked me when I was hopped up on so many painkillers I couldn't tell that there was a catheter in me. Nothing I could have possibly said in that state of mind could possibly be held as a valid statement. Kankuro shrugged. It's done, man. Temari swiped your bed, I'm hitting the couch, and Gaara doesn't sleep, so it worked out just fine for everyone. Except for me. Naruto had a perturbed look on his face, because you probably ate me out of house and home. I ain't made of money here, you know. Temari came from the back with a sad frown on her face. But Naruto, when you stayed in Suna, you stayed with us, we didn't say anything. Am I really that bad that you can't live with me for a few days? The look on her face appeared as though his answer would end up breaking her heart. Naruto was slack-jawed and sputtering, but, you guys, my food. He eventually threw his hands in the air in exasperation and went to grab his wallet. Fine, whatever, I'm out of here. Don't eat all of my food. A grumbling Naruto turned to leave the apartment, shutting the door roughly behind him. Kankuro smirked at his sister. That was messed up, Temari. Playing with the kid like that. You shouldn't mess with his head like that, he might think you like him or something. Temari shrugged and walked back to Naruto's room. Maybe I do. I'm going to take a nap for a few hours. Kankuro sat blinking in place for a moment. Wait, Temari, are you serious? Temari said nothing as she shut the door to Naruto's room. Temari. Naruto grumbled as he left his apartment. I can't believe this crap. What the hell is going on around here? Can I get a little me time? Naruto decided that since he wasn't going to get any alone time, he might as well get some food in him. Going to the place that he was most accustomed to going for his meals, Naruto ended up taking a seat at Ichiraku Ramen. As he plopped down in his usual seat, Naruto sighed. Can I get some ramen, you guys? I really need some relaxation food right about now. Ayami giggled as she came over with a pen to write his order. Ramen is a strange food to relax with, Naruto-kun, even for you. So what do you want? Naruto pulled out a full wallet with a wide grin. Give me one of everything to start. Let's say I have money to blow today. Ayami nodded and wrote out his order before noticing the look on Naruto's face. What's the matter? You look terrible. Naruto chuckled slightly before looking up at her with a tired grin. I'm tired, Ayami-nichan, damn tired. I'll be fine, I just need some rest. I haven't just relaxed in forever. I can't remember the last time I just sat back and did nothing. I'd say I've earned it. Chuki came from the back and greeted the young boy. Oh, Naruto. I thought you were in the hospital. When did you get out? Naruto grinned at him. About 4 hours ago. Come on, did you really think that an entirely cracked skeleton could keep me down for long? Who do you think I am? Naruto's eyes shined as they placed a bowl of ramen in front of him. Chuki chuckled at Naruto's expression. Enjoy, kid. He went off to begin washing dishes while Ayami took another customer's order. Naruto began to dig into his meal and ease his mind. He made it until his 7th bowl when a familiar head of pink hair sat beside him. Naruto turned to Sakura with a face full of noodles and slurped them up while making eye contact. Green met blue as Naruto stayed silent and finished his bowl. Upon finishing, Naruto set the bowl aside with a sigh and motioned Sakura to proceed. Go ahead. Her eyes trembled. Naruto, Sasuke-kunai. Naruto held up his hand. You should be asking Lee about this more than me. I wasn't here when he left, I wasn't there when he ran after getting out of that barrel, and I wasn't there to fight him. If I had been, then he'd be in traction, sitting pretty in our hospital right now. All I was there for was to make sure the others didn't get in too deep. I never saw him at all. Sakura looked as if tears would come to her eyes. Naruto sighed and stood up. Which way do you live, Sakura? She looked up at him, confusion evident on her face. Why do you want to know? Naruto paid for his food and looked over at her. Because in the time it takes us to get you home, I'm going to listen to everything you have to say on this matter. When I get you to your door, I'll tell you something from me that you need to hear. Sakura didn't really understand, but he was offering to listen, so she couldn't really tell him off. So she told him about how she had seen Sasuke attempting to leave, how she confessed to him and what he had said before he knocked her out. Naruto walked and kept his mouth shut, much to Sakura's surprise, as she had still yet to adjust to the new Naruto. The walk to Sakura's house took 30 minutes at the pace that they were moving. Throughout the walk, Naruto's face betrayed none of his thoughts. Sakura thought he wasn't listening until at one point when she stopped he instructed her to carry on. He reassured her that he was indeed paying full attention and was working out what he would say when they arrived at her home, so she kept going. Sakura's throat was dry and she was slightly out of breath because of the amount of talking that she had done, but she had put it all out there. Now she was simply waiting for Naruto to speak, as was their agreement. He stood in front of her for a moment saying nothing as he finished thinking about his dialogue. Finally, believing that he had worked it out enough, he began, "You really love him? Seriously? No bullshit." She nodded and looked in his eyes without falter. Naruto smiled slightly at her. "That's a pretty big claim for someone as young as us to say, Sakura. Are you sure? Things can change over time, you know. You might not feel this way tomorrow, next month, hell, 3 years from now you might not. I am not flighty about things like this, Naruto. I made this commitment a long time ago that I did love Sasuke, and I would prove it to him." She looked away. I really would have left with him that night, Naruto. A frown worked its way onto Naruto's face. "That isn't something you should be saying out loud, Sakura. But now what? He's gone. Gone to Orochimaru, the ultimate traitor of Konoha, for power. What will you do now?" Sakura clenched her fists at her side. "Then I'll get strong enough to save him. I won't give up. I'll get strong and then I'll bring Sasuke-kun back myself." Naruto looked at her for a long moment. "You know that you actually have to take an active interest in your training, right? What I did to you in our match was terrible, Sakura. You have a lot of work to do. Sasuke might not willingly return even years from now, and if it comes to that, and you don't get far stronger, he will tear you apart." Sakura looked down at the ground sadly as Naruto's footsteps signified his leaving her doorstep. "But, who am I to cut down someone's goal? It's going to take a lot of training, Sakura. You really need to up your skills, but it's far from something that's impossible to do. And who knows? If you get your chance to go after Sasuke, I might just want to tag along too." Sakura raised her head to see a faint smile on Naruto's face as he walked away. Sakura turned and entered her home with her resolve for the future set. Naruto took to the rooftops to head towards the Hokage Tower. "Yo, Bar-chan." Tsunade looked to see Naruto hanging around her window with a lazy look on his face. "Can you take the door, brat? I already have Jiraiya jumping on the sill every time he comes by. I don't need you doing it too." Naruto shrugged and hopped inside of the office. "It's easier than the door." A smirk came onto his face. "Unless you like it when I kick it open, because I personally love it. I would have no problems with doing that for you." Tsunade's eye twitched as Naruto flopped on a chair in the office. "So what are you doing here, brat? Other than trying to get me to put you through the wall?" Naruto's jovial face fell as he got businesslike. "How do you feel about starting up a program for combat medics?" Tsunade's eyes widened before she went to normal. "I proposed that idea years ago during the last war, but Sarutobi-sensei shot it down. He said there just weren't enough resources to go around then for it." A grin came onto Naruto's face. "Well, why not do it now? You are the Hokage, aren't you? Or is that pointy hat something I can buy somewhere for myself?" Set it up, and I have someone you should look up first. She doesn't have much going for her except chakra control. Tsunade laid her face in her palm, then why would I want her in the program, brat? The grin never slipped from his face. Yes, she's pretty raw. But that's the beauty of it. If there is one thing that I know from personal experience, it's that a blank slate is probably the best thing for a ninja to be when they go into any kind of training. Give her some time and teach her right, she'll be just fine. And did I mention the chakra control? Who is it, brat? Tsunade was interested in the program, and if Naruto had an idea of just who could be receptive to the training, why wouldn't she listen to him? Is she one of the genin in your class? Naruto nodded. Yeah, my teammate that didn't end up ditching the village, Sakura Haruno. Check her out, see if she's what you're looking for, and if she is, get in touch with her. Tsunade looked at him as he stood to make his way to the window once more. What are you going to go do, brat? Naruto yawned as he turned to face her. I'm tired. I need some sleep and some time off. Give me at least a week and then give me a new assignment. The cracked bones really do suck for someone who runs around all day. A smile came onto Tsunade's face. I put you on medical leave for a bit anyway after you got back. I'll call you when I think you're ready again. You're getting at least a week off. Get some rest. But stop in later this week, I have something for you to do. Naruto gave her a weak salute and jumped out of her window to exit. Naruto arrived at his home that night as the stress of the last few days finally caught up with him. He gave a grunt of acknowledgement to Kankuro, who was eating one of his cup ramen and watching his TV. The puppeteer almost choked on his food as he saw Naruto heading back to his bedroom and rushed to stop him. As he stood in front of Naruto, he could feel the killing intent radiating off of the haggard blonde. You better have a damn good reason for blocking my way, or my foot will have a damn good reason for sticking itself up your ass. Kankuro pointed back towards his room. I told you Temari took your bed. Well, she's in there right now sleeping. If you value your testicles, kid, I wouldn't go in there. Naruto looked at Kankuro, then to the room, then back to Kankuro, who was shaking his head. He shrugged and moved Kankuro aside. I'll take my chances. I'll be damned if I'm sleeping on the floor in my own damn house. Kankuro went wide-eyed as he watched Naruto enter the room and shut the door before running back to the couch, planning to feign ignorance when the fireworks went off. Naruto took a look around his room to find it far less cluttered. Well, she picked my crap up while I was gone, I suppose. Turning his attention to his bed, he found his fellow blonde from Suna sleeping soundly on his bed. How can she sleep so well on my piece of crap mattress? I thought she would have been spoiled by their expensive, comfortable beds at home. As he edged closer to the bed, Naruto's thoughts were telling him that it would be a damn shame to potentially disrupt the sleep of this girl. Temari looked way too peaceful for him to normally awaken. Too bad he was too tired to pay attention to his logical thoughts. Naruto edged her to one side of his bed, which she actually did in her sleep quite easily. She must have been a pretty heavy sleeper. He took off his shirt and slid in next to her, turning away, and quickly fell victim to the comfort of sleep. 3 hours later, a cold feeling was placed against his face, forcing Naruto to open his eyes and deal with the nuisance. As his eyes cracked open, he saw Temari's metal fan placed against his cheek. Figuring that she wouldn't hit him while he was asleep, he quickly shut his eyes and slowed his breathing. Naruto snapped his eyes open when she shook his face with the fan. You're awake. That's good. Did you have a nice nap? He could tell that the fake sweet voice meant that he was screwed, so there was no reason for him to not be a smart ass at this point. What else could she do after this? Not beat him. Naruto sat up, rubbing his eyes and looking at her with a dull face. It was all right. But it wasn't meant to be a nap. It was meant to be a 12 to 24-hour hibernation of sorts. Thanks for that. You woke me up. He checked his clock. 19 hours early. Great. Temari had a scowl on her face. I woke up looking at your bare back. What the hell are you doing here? Continuing to poke the bear, he raised an eyebrow. I live here. Didn't you know that when you got here? Temari pushed him back down on the bed with her fan. I meant, what are you doing in the bed, you ass? Naruto couldn't prevent the smirk from going on his face before he responded. This is my bedroom. As you can see, there's only one bed, mine, and you were kind of in it, so I figured, hey. Roommates. Temari began to unfold her fan with an angry look on her face. Give me one reason why I shouldn't blow you from here to the Hokage Tower. Naruto rolled over on the bed and shut his eyes. I'll give you two. because I just came from there, and because I haven't gotten a non-drug-induced sleep in over 3 days. Now if you're going to use that thing to beat my ass, go ahead, because I'm too tired to care, just don't fuck up my bedspread. Temari dropped her fan. Where will I sleep then? And how did you get here without me noticing? Naruto cracked an eye. Where were you sleeping before you knew I was here? He then pointed at himself, and, ninja. It's kind of in my job description to be able to sneak up on people. Silence reigned over the room as Temari thought of something else to say until shallow breathing let her know Naruto had fallen back asleep. With a sweat drop on her head, Temari left the room shaking her head. The next day Naruto awoke a strange sound. Not so much strange as it was utterly terrifying. Naruto-kun, Yosh. You must join us on our youthful morning exercises. Yes, Naruto-kun. You must train with us to keep up your youthful exuberance during your time off. Naruto woke up, stirring Temari from her own sleep while the voices outside kept yelling, Naruto, what the hell is that? Naruto growled as he sat up, scratching his hair. Temari-chan, go back to sleep. I'll deal with this myself. This is a local problem. Temari did as instructed while Naruto stomped to his front door, finding Gaara silently watching TV and Kankuro mashing one of Naruto's couch pillows over his head. Naruto, get those idiots to shut the hell up before I slit my wrists to make the voices stop. Naruto looked at Gaara, who didn't seem to be affected at all. Gaara felt Naruto's eyes on him and turned to face him. I have plugged my ears with sand to block out the noise. Otherwise I would have killed them by now. Naruto nodded in understanding and headed to the door where Guy and Lee were outside still shouting about Naruto's flames of youth. Naruto opened the door and inhaled sharply. Shut the hell up. Guy and Lee stopped at the sound of Naruto shouting at them. The boy was radiating killing intent with bags under his eyes. I am on leave, damn it. This is the first decent sleep that I've had in days. I have no problems training with you both, however I will train with you at an hour that is populated by creatures that are not nocturnal. Now beat it. I'll see you later. Yosh, Naruto-kun, you are. Naruto turned and blasted them both with murderous intent. Get away from my apartment building or I will get Gaara to kill both of you. He's in here, I swear to Kami. I'm tired and delusional. With one last shout about Naruto's youth, both Lee and Guy decided to go off for a few hundred laps around Konoha to wait for Naruto to wake up. Naruto shut his door with a sigh. Well, at least I know what I'm doing today. Kankuro sighed in relief. So now that you're up, what are you going to do? Naruto rubbed his head on his way back to the room. What else? Finish sleeping with your sister. She's very clingy in her sleep. It's awesome. Walking away with a thumbs up, Naruto ignored the look on Kankuro's face. Later that day Naruto made his way towards the field that he knew Lee and Guy were using. How did he know where they were? Well, all he had to do was run around town and listen for faint, or not so faint, smatterings of shouts for youth, or for repeated yells of, Lee, or, Guy-sensei. It didn't take long. Naruto arrived in an open field to find the all of Team Guy amassed together. Oh, for fuck's sake, just to arrive smack dab in the middle of one of Guy and Lee's genjutsu moments. As the waves crashed in the sun-setting background, Naruto walked over to Neji and Tenten, who were stuck staring at the genjutsu. Tenten shook her head while Lee and Guy got their bro hug on. It's like this every day. They seriously can't keep this up every single day. It's a phase, it'll end eventually. Right. Neji had his Byakugan on as he tried looking away, but couldn't bring himself to do so. I can't see through it. What is this? Oh, Naruto's here. They both turned to find Naruto trying to avert his eyes from Guy and Lee. So what got them started with that crap today? Tenten smiled at him. Oh, it was about how they got the youthful Naruto to agree to train with them today. Well, they were shouting down my door at 4 a.m. so I just wanted them to leave. Naruto picked up some rocks on the genjutsu beach and skipped them across the water. That's impressive. The sound of the stones hitting the water snapped Lee and Guy out of their moment. Ah, Naruto-kun, it is good of you to show up. The boy in question shrugged. I didn't have anything else to do today, so why not? He looked around blankly. So why am I here? I can't even spar with anyone. I'm on medical leave. Tenten walked up to him. Medical leave? What's wrong with you? You look fine. Naruto grinned foxily at her. I cracked every single bone in my body on the last mission. It's great. I'm in excruciating pain just from getting here. Neji activated his Byakugan to look at Naruto and nodded in confirmation. Yes, it's true. Naruto has small cracks on the majority of his skeletal frame. Some areas lack damage, but the most used areas of the human body still have some going through them, like his arms and legs. Naruto cut in, which is why it hurts like a bitch to walk. I'm not fighting any of you today. Neji let his Byakugan fade out. Why does your face not register the pain that you should be in then? Naruto looked at Neji lazily. Never let you sweat. Tenten noticed something strange about Naruto. Naruto, where is your sword? I see your sheath on your back but not the sword. Did you lose it? Her eyes had a dangerous glint in them as she stared him down. Neji backed away while Naruto turned to answer, yes, but it wasn't my fault. I lost it fighting the strongest of those guys that took Sasuke. He was then forced to dodge as Tenten threw projectile weapons at him. Hey. I'm hurt here. Tenten held up a fistful of shuriken. You lost that sword. All of that crap you were saying about me being a user of many weapons and a master of none. Even I know that you should never lose one of your close-range weapons. Naruto grabbed Neji and hid behind him. Hey. I know exactly where it is. It'll just take a few hours to get out there. You can all come with me. Guy-sensei can consider it a field trip or something. He turned to Guy. Do ninja have field trips? Guy's teeth shined as he smiled at Naruto. A most wonderful idea, Naruto-kun. The Forest of Bone is something that many of the Konoha Junin have heard about but none have seen. What a youthful idea. I will get permission to take you all out that far, for I would be happy to accompany you with my team to retrieve your blade. Guy got them out of the village and headed off in the direction of Naruto's battle with Kimimaro. Throughout the trip, Lee, Neji, and Naruto told them the stories of their battles during the mission. Lee told Naruto how he wished he could have tested himself against Kimimaro the way he did and that it would have been better for everyone if Naruto had gone after Sasuke and left him. Naruto almost fell from the trees they were jumping through in laughter. After he calmed down, all of Team Guy asked him what was so funny. Naruto replied with, you'll see. Upon arrival, Tenten tried to push through the last of the brush to reach the clearing Naruto told them the fight took place in when he grabbed her around the waist. Tenten blushed heavily. What are you doing, Naruto? Naruto smiled at her. Watch your step. Naruto then pushed through the foliage to reveal the massive barren crater that he had caused during the duel with Kimimaro. Naruto helped Tenten slide into the pit while the men all jumped down themselves. Tenten got Naruto to let her go when they landed, blush still intact on her face. I could have gotten down here myself. Naruto looked at her with a grin. I know, but I'm a chivalrous bastard sometimes. He looked around and shook his head. I thought it was bigger during the fight, maybe it was just the smoke playing tricks on me. He looked back at Lee, still think it would have been better to stay behind. They all marveled at the sight of all the wreckage until Naruto pointed ahead at the jagged wall of white, and that's where my sword is. The jaws dropped as they got closer to the results of Kimimaro's Sawarabi no Mai. The sheer scale of the jutsu was impressive until Naruto spoke. Yeah, it surprised the hell out of me when I first saw it. It all sprouted up in like 1 second. I thought I was dead. I had to Kawarimi with the sword to escape. I'm glad I could see it from the top of the spikes. They all looked up where Kimimaro's body was still sticking out of one of the spikes. They looked down at Naruto with respect as he started squeezing through the tightly packed bones to reach the area where he dropped his weapon. After a few minutes, a loud curse rang out, followed shortly by Naruto emerging from the bones with the pieces of his broken sword. Oh man, I have to get it fixed now. Poor sword, you were so great. Naruto put the broken pieces of his sword into his sheath and started to exit the area to return to Konoha. Well, this was one way to spend the day. He jumped out of the crater and began making his way back towards Konoha. Neji watched as he left and spoke to Guy. Guy-sensei, if Naruto was able to do this to the landscape, how strong is he? Guy patted Neji on the shoulder. That's not what you should be asking. Remember why he was in the hospital. After knowing that it happened here and after seeing what the results of such power was capable of, do you really want to find out? Lee spoke up at this point, and if he is anything like myself or Guy-sensei, he will not allow this to be his limit either. And that is what is truly scary. It's hoot. Mountains suck. I'm going through bottled water like a beached whale up here. Between the training and the going on runs and the just doing nothing, I'm always effing thirsty, and I still have a few more weeks up here. Training camps suck. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.